Amazon is just leveraging its base it has and says, take it or leave it. Okay, that's their approach. And a lot of folks do that, whether that's Google or Amazon. They go $50 a pop at Google, off we go. It's a cost decision. And if you're purely doing it on a cost basis, you're going to get yourself into trouble. Okay, and I think that's what happened with the folks at Amazon. It was a cost decision. They didn't think it through. If you really understand that you're not just getting a service, you're actually getting into a very critical strategic long-term marriage with your service provider, and you truly understand the risks you're getting into with them and they understand what you're about, you actually negotiate your service level agreement. And I think the biggest achievement we've had to date in our rollout here is we truly partnered with our provider Plex to go through our contract and our service level agreements as a partnership, not as a tit for tat, you give me that, I want this kind of thing, but truly, you're part of the business now. We are married. This is a critical piece in going through this, is truly understanding what each of you is getting into and what each of you is responsible for. I think we spent a lot of time on our contract and service level agreement to make sure we don't fall into that trap.
The way we look at it, I talked about it earlier, we're not going to go with somebody who we don't feel completely comfortable with from a risk point of view as well as a functionality point of view, obviously. So a company like Chubb wouldn't even entertain the idea of going with Amazon for those reasons. And I think that's going to, as it more matures and we get to this newlywed stage, that's going to be the driver for companies to see that opportunity. If we could provide SLAs, we can beat Amazon at their game. So I think it's going to evolve to that. But some can, especially for the small businesses that want to use cloud computing, especially infrastructure. They'll take the risk because it's a cost play.
And from my point of view, SLA and insurance is the last resort because in the end of the day, it's too late. Your business has crumbled. Now you're going to go chase, and go through litigation. So same thing with insurance. It's kind of after the fact. So, but assuming that it has some validity, those that aren't willing to underwrite the risk per se, one has to really question whether or not they understand the risk. Insurance carriers, like Chubb and others, won't underwrite risk they don't understand. And what I find interesting too is as we look at the management of our suppliers, in a world that's much more mature than the flow of information and all the cloud that we're talking about here, that world of suppliers for supply chains and auto industries, it's only after the Japan incident where we see these organizations looking beyond the first tier suppliers, which may be the next wave of Amazon outsourcing, the back office part of this. But it's the same thing where they're just beginning to understand that there are others upstream and downstream that are really responsible for delivering your value to the marketplace. So I think an end-to-end review as it relates to the specific products or services you provide, the value you create in that context, driving all the way down to the specific resources. I think that's the best way to go. I wouldn't necessarily rely on SLAs. I would raise the question. I think it's a very, very valuable question that you raised there. Why not?
You've got to own the risk. And as a business person, I could not have abdicated that just to the IT folks either. With Volley, we went through multiple re-architectures, all based on security and risk management. And it shaped the entire product, and it was because we owned it.
You also have a culture that supports the analysis of risk, your entire culture as an organization.
Yep. You bet.
Yeah.
On the business team that I look to. I look to the technology folks as well. It wasn't necessarily procurement driven, but it was a combination of both business and technology folks that owned it.
From our point of view, it's a joint team we have a risk management group to manage internal risk, and the operational risk combined with the IT risk, we partner together to kind of help identify those risks and mitigate them.
We have a risk committee which mainly consists of basically the ELT members anyway in the controls business. We have to put in place risk mitigation plans. It gets reviewed by the board on a board of directors at the PLC level on a quarterly basis as well. So it's kind of ingrained in your DNA to really actively work those issues.